All right, and we're live. Hello, welcome everyone to another 40k Frontier Showcase. Double Dutch Ruuder. With us today, we've got the two beautiful Dutch people themselves. We've got Ruud stepping in for the lovely Dino, who had to sadly send his condolences, but you know, we've upgraded, right? We definitely upgraded into Ruud. How you doing, Ruud?
100% you did, yes.
All love to you, Dino. All love to you. How you doing, Ruud?
All well, gents. I'm busy fast painting my lovely guard army for this weekend. So almost finished, but the pressure is on.
Lovely.
Slap chopping his way through to victory, right? Absolutely. Maybe.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And we've got the Necron Overlord himself, the one, the only, Dick van der Haast. How you doing, buddy? And yes, that is as in penis. So there we go. Demonetized already. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Well.
Just quickly for audio listeners.
Wanted the money anyway.
Yeah, just quickly. Dick joins the chat with his name set as Dick in brackets, yes, as in penis. Which causes Sam to just lose it when he notices in the pre-show. That was pretty good. All right.
Yeah,
it's the icebreaker you're saying, right? Just be like, oh no, Sam's gone. We're off the rails already. But yeah, show up to tournaments and be like, yeah, that's my name. Deal with it.
Yeah.
All right, what's on the agenda,
exactly. Sam? It's never an issue.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Dick. So how you doing? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great, guys. Just started a new job last week, so it's real busy. I actually wanted to finish some painting for this weekend because I wanted to spruce up some Necron destroyers, but sadly don't really have the time to do that. So I'm just gonna grab my my old destroyers and they'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Is Sam's internet connection suffering as well? We'll get there, guys.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's all good. We'll work it out. It's a traveling time zones is never an easy thing, but we'll get there. So, as just what Dick alluded to there, so big Necron player. But let's get things to start off with your hobby history. So, Dick, how long have you been playing 40k for? And like, when did you get started? And like, how did you get into hobby per se?
For me, it started when I took a vacation in the UK when I was like 12 years old, and I just wandered around into a GW store, and I saw some minis, and I was hooked. It was so cool. It was like the coolest thing I've ever seen when I was 12. So played some fantasy, played some 40k as well. But yeah, you know, like everybody does, around 16, you kind of lose interest. You do some real world stuff. So I went to university, and then I always kept this little box filled with old minis. And one day I had this boring ass job, and it made me wait like long periods of time a day. So I just typed in on YouTube Warhammer 40k, and lo and behold, there were battle reports over there, and got me back in. So ever since like the end of 2017, so I think the tail end of 7th, I've been playing. So I haven't actually played 7th, but I don't know of the game, and I actually started again with 8.
Nice. And then went on a tear with things, right?
Loved it. Yeah.
It's such a cookie cutter,
actually
like cookie cutter sort of like get into 40k story though. We almost need like one of those like fill in the blanks worksheets of like, hi, my name is blank. I got into 40k when my Circle 1 friend walked past GW store, play Dawn of War, or insert video game here. At age blank, I took a break for. But yeah, no, it's good, dude.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. How about yourself, Ruud? How did you get into 40k, and how long have you been playing for?
Well, blank. No, I've been playing Warhammer for 22 years now. Because when I was 11, I walked into a local gaming store, and nice. I saw a couple of guys playing Warhammer 40k, and me and my friend were just we just bought I think the 6th or the 5th edition Orcs and Empire. That's what my friend bought, and I started with High Elves. That's where it all went wrong. And then the first couple of years, first couple of years, you go like, yeah, I've got these really cool models with too much paint on it, and it looks horrible. And then you start playing fantasy, and at a certain point, it that ended for me also because of high school. And then on high school, I met some other people, and they were actually into 40K, where I was always like, nah, 40K, that's boring, man, and blah, 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 blah. Look at me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just like casually captaining the national team or something like that? Like several horrible decisions later.
Yeah. No, but it got me, I think, in 4th edition 40K at a certain point, just at the end when Nits just came out. And I was just starting a Nit army and an Imperial Fist army, and I still have those yellow boys somewhere laying around the corner.
The codex that saw them through to Index Hammer? Well, not quite, but...
Yeah. Then 5th edition started, and I played that a lot. I think 5th is maybe still one of the best editions. And then I ended up going to university, quit playing Warhammer, got back into a hospitality job, and from there on out, I started to play 6th and 7th, but that was a horrible, weird shit show. Where in the end, I managed to graduate from university, and I flipped a coin to go abroad, and it was heads. So I went to Sydney, Australia. I went there for a year. The plan was to be away for 5 years, and then all of a sudden, after a year, I was already back. And
I mean, I can understand wanting to get out of Australia quickly. That's just a good decision, really.
Well, Warhammer wise, especially for buying stuff. Holy hell, so expensive. So expensive. It's not funny.
We
just keep getting the cheap shots in at Sam while he's got his mic muted.
Understandable, I get it. And like, no one likes Sydney anyway, right? There's nothing good to be there.
Why, even the Australians? Is that like the easy pickings big city for you guys?
To be fair, I lived in Sydney for about half a year, and then I went to Melbourne, and Melbourne it's my cup of tea. So that was really fun. If I could go back, I probably would. But now I'm married and I bought a house and everything's jolly good over here. Plus, I'm managing about 10 idiots playing 40K in the Netherlands, and apparently we're doing well. So I have to continue that one, right?
Very domesticated.
At the moment, it's even more than 10.
Yes, at the moment, I think we have the best turnover in prospect ever in the Netherlands, to be fair.
Yeah.
We're sitting at about 30 people.
Hopefully for you guys, that's turn out, not turn over. And be like, no, it's been great. We've been like chugging through these new recruits, just burning them out one tournament at a time.
Say hi to your captain. Yes, go on your knees.
Yeah.
Why not both?
Yeah. Prove you're worthy.
Yeah. It's like Dino was in, he was like a great prospect, but now he's tired, and we've just like, he's out of it. We're one interview too many.
Grandpa already dropped out. Yep, shame.
This is some like SAS military training stuff. It's like you gotta ring the bell, just get out if you don't qualify enough. All the training you're leading into it, all the intensity. Too good. And yeah, so as we alluded to before, so Dick Van der Haast is like
but for fat people.
For 5 people, beautiful. Dick Van der Haast is a well-known Necron player. So Dick, why? Like, why Necrons? Like, why do you love the reanimation Terminator boys? Like, what is it? What is it, man? Like, and from my understanding, in the Netherlands, it's very common that you only play 1 to 2 armies. So you seem to stuck with Necrons the whole time, basically.
Well, yeah. So would you believe it that I haven't actually seen Terminator 2 since I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Something about that. So it wasn't Terminator for me.
The look from Ruud, I think your spot on the team is shaky now with that revelation.
He's not in the team yet anymore, so anyway.
Always was. No, I always really loved old Krons, the hordes of warriors with the baton and just loads of the same faceless guys battling it out in the grim darkness. I really liked that, but I never actually bought into the army. So it was actually really weird because one of my buddies, who was an Olympic rower, he messaged me after I told him that I really like Necrons, who actually got an army. He said, "I don't know why, but I've got like an entire box filled with prawns. I just got them in a trade, and I'm never going to use them. Do you want them?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, all of yes." Like... So I got them, and then I never looked back. So yeah, I mean, it helped that I was playing Night Lords at the time, so it was definitely an upgrade.
Are they like green plastic glowy rod Necrons, like those old school boys?
Yeah, they were.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I painted over that shit real quick.
Oh.
No, more than fair. Those old school Necrons,
so
yeah. Those old school Necrons definitely show their age, and look, thankfully the refresh did them a bit of justice, and hopefully there's more along the way. Just for you, buddy. No one else. Just for you.
Tesseract Glow is OP.
Good.
Oh, perfect. So you guys
I
are both
actually bought it, but
Dick, yeah. Stop, dude. You're revealing too many things. Haven't seen Terminator. Don't have Tesseract Glow. What are you doing, buddy? Oh my god.
Failing quickly. That's what happens
Dude,
with live
just doing
TV,
everything
right?
the hard way. Like, you're winning with Necrons before they went and got buffed, and like doing oh dear. All right, Sam, get us back on topic.
Yeah, I try mine.
All good. So you guys both live in the Netherlands, and obviously, so very, I guess, multilingual country. So speaking Dutch, speaking English, speaking French. It's also some French and German. How do you guys deal with it all? Like with all in Netherlands, like do you guys predominantly play all in English, or do you play all in Dutch? So, like, how does it all work out? Maybe you, Ruud, you can answer.
Predominantly, if we play against Dutch people or Dutch-speaking players, we just play in Dutch because it makes more sense for us. But we also have a lot of, not a lot of, but we have quite a group of foreign people or expats who are now living in Amsterdam, The Hague, all the big cities, and they also play Warhammer. So playing English for us is very easy.
Second nature.
I mean, I believe we speak better English than all of the UK combined. So
it's not very hard to do, though, right?
No, that's fair. I mean, together with Scandinavia, we speak English the best in the world, if I'm correct. Dick probably knows better, but now it's really easy. To be fair, I don't speak a lot of French. I can manage myself, but there's no way in hell I can play Warhammer in French. Just to get that out of the room.
Yeah, French isn't really that common in the Netherlands.
That's more Belgium, or the country we gave away to the French, whatever you want to call it.
Should that be Luxembourg? I'm guessing. I don't know if that's actually correct. That's just my geography knowledge.
No, Luxembourg is below Belgium.
There you go. Found the $1 million question there already. So, how do you guys like play all in English codexes and stuff like that? I'm guessing, or do you try and use? Yeah, sweet. So just use all the English ones. Keep it simple, and that way there's no ambiguous rulings.
Yes, we have.
Bold of you to assume GW can write non-ambiguous rules in the native language.
The best part about this is I think 5th edition they attempted to write a Dutch rulebook, and the actual translation for rulebook was already wrong on the cover.
Solid effort.
Yeah, that was glorious. There were so many puns and word jokes you can translate to Dutch, and you go like, "That's not what it says, but I know what it means."
Yeah.
Oh,
we play in English. It's so much easier for us, and especially for translating, because Dutch is quite a hard language to master. as you will hear from almost every Dutch person as well.
Yeah.
More than fair enough. And so you mentioned that, so you living or work in Amsterdam area. Is that where generally 40k is prominent, like in that Amsterdam area, or is there some scenes in Rotterdam and stuff like that? I know Netherlands is not a big country from the sounds of things. Like you can travel pretty easily, like within 3 hours to basically anywhere in the Netherlands. But is that where the 40k scene predominantly is in Amsterdam? Maybe Dick, you can answer.
Let's see if Dick's
it's
internet will agree.
it's a pretty dense country, so I'll just let Ruud answer and I'll refresh.
Oh, sorry.
Ooh,
Oh no.
Oh, there we go. I have to do two things at the same time. Funnily enough, we have as many inhabitants, I think, like Australia, but our surface is a lot less. There are, as far as I know, about 200 to 300 Warhammer players that actually go to tournaments. I believe not always go at the same time, and especially not everybody is located in Amsterdam, because there's a lot of gaming clubs divided amongst the country. However, we have one of the tournament organizers, which is Alliance Open. They host the biggest events in the Netherlands. And then I'm hosting a lot of tournaments in Amersfoort. We had Dino doing a lot in Amsterdam. We have Kyle doing a lot in Rotterdam. And then we have a couple of guys doing smaller tournaments in the north. And there are some TOs organizing small events in the south as well. But it's starting to grow now with the new DTC as well.
Yeah, we had a huge uptick in tournaments being organized, so that was really cool. I mean, when I started, it was like two tournaments a year, maybe. So you had to go abroad for tournaments, and now, I mean, I don't have to go abroad anymore, but it's also a lot of fun to do so.
Yeah, just it's fun to go carve it up at the UKTC and just to dominate other British people as well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, awesome. So you mentioned there, Ruud, about the DTC. So that's the Dutch tournament circuit. So how does that work? And like, I understand it's your own internal ranking system. You use it for WTC selection and stuff like that. So how does it work? Like, how do people gain points and stuff like that? Maybe Dick, you can answer.
Yeah. So, as far as I gather, it started out just like ITC did. So it was a way of incentivizing people to come to all the different events. So Dino, who sadly cannot be here tonight, he got everybody together and said, well, why not make a ranking for everybody and motivate them to attend more tournaments? And lo and behold, it worked, of course, because everybody likes fake internet points.
They are the best.
They are the best. So last year was the first year, and almost all the events in the Netherlands took part. So you got points based on how many people were there and how many rounds it was, like basically the same as ITC, but I think it's a bit different calculation. And now this weekend is the finals. So there's like 7 people, I think, on the top of my head, in contention of winning the whole thing. So I'm hoping that if Ruud turns out to be horrible at guard, then I might just have a chance of winning it. But we'll see.
Well, a small disclaimer, I tried a list yesterday and it was way better, so I'm already bummed out I didn't write that one. So you're lucky about that one.
I'm just scared of vote, man. Oh my.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, there's only one really scary guy going to the DTC, so
yeah.
And
his name starts with D and it ends in Vanderhast.
No, it starts with a D but ends with Usty Justy.
Yeah. It's Justin. It's like he's like wildly regarded as probably the most innovative player in the Netherlands, and that's he's real good. He's really good, guys. So I just hope.
So is he on Ymir Beams? Given that he's innovative.
No, he doesn't do beams.
Oh, okay.
That's the innovative part.
Yeah. No, I was just really hoping it's like he's really innovative. Cookie cutter list he's taking to the event.
I mean, he's also he plays what's good. So yeah.
Yeah.
Can't fold bad at all.
Of course you won't, Sam. Mr. Bandwagon Bandit over there.
Yeah, well, to be fair.
Yeah, he did play 200 cultists when everybody thought they were bad, and then he was like, "Yeah, cool. So you're tabled. Everything's, especially in 8th edition, everything's wrapped. You cannot do anything. I win 20-0. Yes, okay, thank you. Bye."
Yeah. Like so he played Rex Spam when it wasn't considered that good, and he gets real good results with it.
Yeah, I played Rex Spam before it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome! So, how big is this the Dutch finals this weekend? So, obviously, from the DTC, I guess is it the final top 8 or top 16? I've been invited to this finals event. And so how many people are playing? Is it 8 people or 16 people? Oh, way more.
It's 54, I think.
Oh, Jesus,
so
way more.
It's just like the same. It's not a finals, as in it's not a specifically organized finals just for people who are in the top whatever. It's everybody who could get a ticket is allowed to go, and everybody can compete. And everybody can win the tournament. But because of the points and because of the way it's shaken out, it's like 7 of those people who are attending are in a shot to win the whole overarching DTC for this year. So, for example, Justin, he's very good, so maybe he'll win the whole tournament, but he hasn't played that many tournaments in the Netherlands, so he can't really win the DTC. So, if Justin gets first and Ruud gets second and I get third, for example, then I'll probably have won it. But we'll see, because Necrons aren't that good anymore.
That means it's your time to shine, right, dude? But yeah, so it sounds like the DTC then, this event that I can't remember if there was the name of, and I'm blanking, but it's a lot like LVO, right? Of like, it's the big capstone event, just scaled down to some extent because and as opposed to LVO, Dino actually said straight away that he wasn't going to use any of the new rules, and it was going to be like the end of Nephilim. That's it. So that was really good.
Yeah, I think with one small caveat of allowing the new guard codex, but that's more than fair and reasonable.
Yeah,
I mean, it's because the book is printed and out and exists. So Yeah.
All the models that are known for their base size were allowed. So, for example, Kazarkin were out. They're almost nowhere to get unless you have quite a big group of known Warhammer players that can help you out. For example, give you their old tin models. Like I was lucky enough to get somebody texting me like, "Hey, you looking Kazarkin? There you go. I'll send them up." I was like, thank you very much. No Lord Commander Leonidas.
Who was that monster?
You want to know the name to thank him? To send him a thank you note? It was Glorious Pim. Thank you, Pim, for your Kazarkin. No, but no Leonidas, no Rogel Dorntank, no Rough Riders. So the only model that was allowed is Ursula Creed and the Kazarkin. But we are playing with the Codex. We did some FAQ rulings with the tournament organizers. So Kazarkin are capped at 6 mortal wounds, just like every other stratagem or unit does mortal wounds, because let's use logic. The Scions, for example, do count for boots on the ground because it's a platoon regiment unit or platoon infantry unit. And the rest, I mean, there's not much other weird stuff to FAQ that isn't FAQ'd for the tournament.
Can Ursula Creed order the same mortar unit like 3 times and get them up to strength 7?
It's not in the FAQ, but I'm not that guy.
Not yet, anyways. Until you get to the final round and you need that win.
Yeah, if I need to be Justin, yes, I can. But
well, That's not usually how we play. So that's the Ruud isn't known to be one of those triad type guys. So that's actually good.
Normally, I don't really need it. That's the good part as well.
Rude by name, not by nature, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So with your FAQs and stuff like that, do you generally try and use for your events like the WTC FAQ? Obviously, I know you guys play in Europe and like a very strong team for the WTC. Is the FAQ used generally in like the 20-0 system, or do you have your own sort of FAQ and point scoring system?
And that depends on the tournament. I am known to use all the WTC FAQ rule pack and terrain set because I am hosting 10 events this year, and we did 10 events last year. But I also want to create a big prospect pool. So if people come to my events, they get a 20-0 system. Halfway, I think the tournament scene or year, I changed it to win, then battle points instead of battle points and then win. Because the first couple of tournaments I did were battle points first, so that makes it even more interesting, in my opinion. But I heard from a lot of people they wanted to do wins first.
Sad.
Was that like out of 100 battle points or out of 20 battle points for the?
So the Feast of Blades is always calculated at WTC points. So if you end up with a 20-0 score.
Yeah.
You do use your 0 to 100 for the normal scoring, but then you calculate the difference, which makes it, for my opinion, a lot more interesting game. Because if you go, I score 100 and you score 99. Well, that was an interesting game. Okay, thank you, bye.
I mean, those are very good games.
199, it depends, because back in the days with the To the Last, where one person scores the 99 and the other one the 100 because he has 12 primary at the end, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's #skill. I mean, I prefer the differential where you actually need to play the game or deny your opponent points.
Or remove their models. Continues to paint guard army.
Yeah, preferably turn 1. No, but the other events all use the normal 0 to 100 scoring. So just as GW invented in 9th edition.
Yeah, more than fair enough. What sort of events do you guys run? Is it more singles events? Is it teams events? Or is it some wacky doubles and triples events?
Ooh, triples. Did we ever do triples, Dick? Maybe with
No, I've never heard of anybody playing triples. But doubles is actually pretty popular here. Yeah, the Alliance Open guys, they are known. They've actually just announced a doubles event, and it's really well visited. I mean, I myself don't really go anymore because I don't have enough time to do the less competitive stuff and also have a life. What's
a life? What is that life you call?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't go to those anymore, but like most people go to that and they really look forward to it. Yeah, so it's and also oddly enough, I used to think that the doubles would be like a sort of prelude to a teams event, but it's not at all. It's like two buddies making up a weird team name, and Thomas just says the doubles event was sold out in 2 to 3 hours. So that's pretty quick for Dutch standards.
Look, I feel like, so you said it's not a good precursor to teams, and then said, hey, it's like coming up with funny team names. Isn't that like half the point of team events?
It is. But
it is. Yeah. It is so popular that the only doubles event I've ever gone to with Dean, by the way, it was a really cool event, but it was the day after like our national holiday, so after the King's birthday.
Oh yeah.
And like it was sold out. Everybody was there, and I still distinctly remember that one of the team names was "Please Never Again" an event after King's Day.
Yeah, I remember that as well. Yeah. Yeah. Our first set that we had to play against, it was a couple, and the lady was like, "Oh yeah, I just finished work 2 hours ago, so I'm just already done for the day, but I'm here because he likes the game. So whatever." I was like, "Ah, cool, nice first round."
Did she just say that full
Yeah.
send? It's like, please make this end.
And then they start arguing together as well. Who did what wrong in the first turn, and you go like, cool, 100 points it is.
Oh dear.
Yeah, no, but the doubles event is really well visited and it's always sold out. And for the rest, we have a lot of single events divided between a lot of RTTs, a couple of GTs, and then
Mostly
AO.
RTTs.
Yeah, mostly RTTs, some majors and one super major. And then starting from last year, we're doing bigger team events with Feast of Blades or the WTC team or whatever you want to call it. And I think AO does a 4-man team event as well. But I always found out that, in my opinion, 4-man team events always lack the team event or lack the practice, because it's like, oh, cool, I'll put down a defender, you give me 2 attackers, here's the champion, and there we go.
Yeah, the pairings are whack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for a team thing where you want to play Warhammer with 4 friends, it's amazing. But for my goal to get more team training, it's not worth it. So
Fives is where like you start to have an actual proper pairing sequence, right? Because that's the first one where you get sort of 2 rounds and it starts to interact. It feels like.
Yeah,
it's always
but it's hard for the people who just want to have a fun tournament. It's just way harder to get 5 guys interested to go. You really notice that a lot of tournament organizers, they want to organize 2-day events because they're usually competitive minded people, and they like the idea of having a big event for 2 days with lots of people. But it's just way less popular here because people don't like to go get away from the families for 2 days.
Or a lot of guys also don't have the time because wife, kids, busy job. And then a lot of people go like, I love to go 2 days every weekend, but I can't because I have to watch the kid because my wife has to work. Or I can't plan, or I don't have an opinion and my wife tells me what to do with my life. It all...
Only you have that. Only you have it.
No, that's my opinion about everybody who don't play 2-dayers.
Or maybe you want to stay married, and hence you do not go to 2-day events. So
yeah, I am married and I host 2-day events. It's even worse.
Oh dear.
Oh, so Dick, so are you taking Necrons to this weekend's finals? And like, are there lists published and stuff like that? I know you guys use Pun for Alliance Open, and it's like your own tournament pairing software, like very similar to Best Coast pairings. So are you taking Necrons to this weekend? And is there a list posted that for people can look at?
Yeah. It's on BCP. It's what's it? It's called the Dutch Masters, I think.
Or Dutch Masters.
Yeah. Lists are public, and I am taking the Necrons. I was almost convinced to try something good, but I just, because of the new job, I don't have any time to practice. So, and to be honest, it's Nephilim rules, so the Necrons are still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that Dick specifically is bringing Necrons because he is fighting for best Necrons and he wants to win the tournament. And there's one guy that has a really big target on his either forehead or ass. So everybody wants to kick him off the throne. And he's also playing Necrons. So the moment I said, hey, do you want to practice some cool army for the WTC? Dick said, no, I want to win DTC and I want to win best in Necrons, so I have to play Necrons this event. I was like, okay, it's fine. You're excused.
Also the practice stuff.
See earlier comment about fake internet points being important.
Exactly.
For some people.
Yeah.
It's also important when you're number one, is what I understand. Dick, you're number one currently in the rankings. So, I mean, you want to stay on top, right?
No, I'm not. I'm not number one. No.
Lied.
No. I said I was one of the guys who could win it. That's what I said. So the guy Ruud was talking about, the other guy who plays Necron, Rob, he's in the chat. He already commented. He's actually on top. He comments right now, and he's attended by far the most events from everybody. So he's like solidly on top. But it's because of the weird points thingy, and because you get double points for this event. If you do well here and better than Rob, then you'll win the event.
Yeah, sure. So with the Dutch tournament circuit, do you do you gather points for events outside of the Netherlands, or only events within the Netherlands?
Yeah, only events for the Netherlands.
Yeah, sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then can people from the outside join in? So people like we have the Alliance Open, which is a big 3-day major, so it's the biggest event in the Netherlands so far. Can people like get the points there and like potentially top the Dutch rankings, and then
they could
just not be Dutch?
Yep, they could. We had a.
Thankfully, they don't, but they could.
No, we had a big TO chat at the first night of the Super Major to also get all the TOs together and finally have a chat about a couple of things. And one of the TOs said, well, if they're coming to the Netherlands every weekend or month and they actually play to win, why can he not be the Dutch master if he travels every time to the Netherlands? I was like, it's a solid point. So
yeah.
Yeah, and as Dino points out, we even have Gojkovic in the ranking. So I understand following the WTC, Team Australia player Simon Gojkovic went to the Netherlands and played at it was a GT or it was a GT, and he took it out. Just a silly Australian. So
Simon Gojkovic got your points.
No, but he did it really well because all the WTC players were just not into it. Playing Warhammer because it was literally the weekend after WTC.
Yeah.
So the only WTC player that was there, I think, was me, and I was reffing. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna play. And then somebody dropped, so I had to play. So I just took Sisters for shits and giggles, which I never played before. So I was like, oh, this is actually a fun army. And then I ended up
second, right?
Yay!
Yeah. Behind the other WTC player that was there from the winning WTC team, so not to disrespect him too much. It was funny though when that happened, and because he's got the somewhat unusual, not a particularly Australian sounding last name, everyone didn't question him winning the event.
Possibly some Serbian or Croatian player just came over to the Netherlands,
Random.
Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. So you talked about the people traveling into the Netherlands, but what about you guys? So I understand there's like a little team circuit you guys have. Apologies, not War of the Roses. It's like a sort of secret cabal of teams that practice. Home Nations, that's the one. Home Nations, I believe, or you guys travel as for the Netherlands, the WTC prep. You guys travel to the UK and stuff, and get some team practice in. Do you get some any other, I guess, travel outside of that, or you just that sort of secret cabal teams event where you hide lists and just get practice in?
Secret cabal team events.
You're making this like way more mysterious than it is, Sam.
Also, we're not in the secret cabal. That's the whole point. That's what makes this funny. We're not a member. We're not a member of the 8 Nations.
No.
So,
yeah. Just turns out when you want to host like competitive team events for prep, like those teams that are going don't really want the list published to the broader internet, so that's like a degree of they can keep surprises.
No, there are some events. I believe Home Nation is normally obviously hosted by the entire UK and Belgium, and then every year they invite 2 other countries and they vote on it. So, for example, I think last year it was Sweden and somebody else.
Denmark.
And then maybe this year we will get voted in because we actually did a nice scoring, or the best placing we ever had in the WTC. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But we are hosting a Euro Trash Cup, or ETC, if you
solid,
to pay some homage, and we are having 8 teams of 8 people. Mostly are the national teams or prospects of those teams. I posted on the WTC Discord yesterday, and all of a sudden I have a waiting list of I think 2 teams now. So I'm
really
either getting into more terrain and tables, or they have to wait till next year. But we do travel to quite some countries. Most obvious one is the UK.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of chats with Poland. So the moment they have something, I'm waiting for Piotr or Typhus to come with that. I think Sweden, Malmo is hosting a 5-man team event, so we're already sending 1 or 2 teams there. The Allies of Convenience, we got 2nd place last year, so I already booked a ticket for this year. And then
Denmark.
Denmark. Are we going to Denmark yet?
No, we went to Denmark when it was still a thing, when it's still the Slagals tournaments. But
there. Yeah. Belgium and Germany, if we can drive there, because that's the easiest one.
Yeah. For some reason, nothing in France, though. Nobody ever goes to France.
Yeah, because back to our subject half an hour ago, we don't speak French, and everything's in French there. We did get invited, actually, to come to a French event. I just haven't told you guys yet.
Until now, by the way.
Which is funny, because they do definitely have a bunch of team events from talking to Henri on a previous episode. Like, it seems like they've got a really cool system there. I think it's just, like, maybe not especially well published, which is also funny given the French were the people, like, streaming the WTC, but hey.
Also, one of the most fun games I had at WTC was playing the French team. It was really cool. It's a really great game.
Yeah, they are, especially if you look from the last couple of years. This year was amazing. I mean, the guys were all fun. Their English was better than the English, so that's good. And everybody played with intent. It was amazing. So big shout out to those guys. It's really good.
Yeah.
Also, great jerseys. I loved. They actually had a jersey for every team they played, so they swapped with everyone. So they had 7 jerseys. Really wanted to do that as well, and their jersey was really cool, so I really love mine.
That's cool.
Yeah. We're getting 7 jerseys as well this year.
Yeah,
it's a really good effort on their part, though, finding like a team of 8 Frenchmen that are all like they'll put up with speaking English. So like that's a really good effort, and like them being good at 40K.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you looked at the streaming equipment, I mean, holy hell, that was.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I think television station networks can
take notes.
Suck a tip on that one.
For sure.
On the screens and camera people they had on there, it's like, whoa, next level.
So you say for this weekend, so I understand Amsterdam Wargaming are streaming your Dutch final, so you're saying they're not going to be as professional as a French Wargame studio? Or maybe they will be, and they're about to usurp.
No. They'll be better, but just different.
They have a lot of bad humor, so Amsterdam Wargaming will be streaming. I already asked if they also already set up a streaming link, but we're waiting on it. But Ruben and Chris are hosting the event, and they have
actually
really bad sense of humor. So if the game's not interesting enough, you will be laughing all game anyway.
Yeah. What's funny is that one of the co-hosts, Chris, I was really happy that he isn't attending the DTC finals because he's a good player and he's probably ranked above me at this moment in the rankings. But
he is second, Dick. He is second.
Probably above me, I said. Probably.
He is.
But like the weird thing is we've played each other in every event we've gone to since February, I think. Last year. Except for WTC, we've played each other at every event. Like we went to LGT, we went to events all over, and we played each other every time. It's just so weird.
It's actually funny because in the Super Major, I was playing my last round, and I went to the toilets, and then all of a sudden I saw those guys facing each other, so I laughed at them, looked at me, they started laughing, I laughed again, and then walked away. It's like so dumb. Every single time they go to an event.
That's real good. You travel well, I say all the way to the UK. It's not as far for you guys as like for us, but still you travel internationally for an event and be like, all right, who am I playing? Oh, great. It's old mate from next door. Like here again.
Literally. So you an event, hundreds, thousands of players, and you still play each other. It's a meme.
Yeah.
It's 100% a meme.
Oh well, that's what happens when you go 4-0, 5-0, Dick. Come on, you gotta play the other people who are just absolutely crushing it, or you're scrubbing the bottle or the barrel. Either way, but generally the first option. So I understand also in the Netherlands you have your own terrain system, so it's like the Dutch terrain system, and it all fits like in a nice box. How would you describe that Dutch terrain, Dick? Like I know it sort of is a bit lighter generally from what I understand, but what's it sort of based on?
I think Ruud actually knows more about it than I do, but our friend CJ, he designed it, and it's really awesome. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's either based on LGT or WTC, but it's the entire thing minus crates, like fits in a box and in a shelf. It probably saves more space than like the fold up terrain Tabletop Titans do, and it's really really cool. So it's just MDF, and it's affordable, and I would recommend everybody to try it. It's really good.
If you want, I can just grab a box. Yeah, I think it's.
Do I have a box? No, I don't.
CJ did design it, and it's not per se any terrain type because he designed it himself. So I believe measurements, it's an 8x8 L, then a 7x7, a 6x6, and a 5x5. So you can slide them in each other. From that point out, what then?
So you've heard of Russian nesting dolls? Get ready for Dutch nesting owls.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
Boy. Yeah, and then for the DTT terrain itself, CJ added 2 big ruins, so you have 10 ruins on the table. So it's definitely not light.
No.
Yeah, and those are like some big ruins. That's going to be a lot of terrain.
Yeah, you can easily hide a flyer in those.
Yeah. Well, CJ is an Eldar
Not anymore.
You can for this event.
Yeah, you can for this event. No, but CJ plays only Eldar, so obviously he made all the terrain so Eldar can hide. And knights cannot be seen, so knights cannot shoot flyers or anything. So not biased or anything. I like Eldar as well, so I don't mind.
No, there's definitely there's little bits of that. Like I know when I was designing my terrain, I've like little corner bits. I made sure there's the corner edges of the ruins are just under an inch tall. So it's like, bigger things can like clip that bit of the corner. Mostly because that feels, it like sort of bridges the gap a little bit between, like, haha, I have the infantry keyword. I don't care about rules. I run through walls. And then, it helps the other guys catch up a little bit. And then it means I can put stuff closer together, and most of the time things still move around. Unless it's Scott's Greater Brow Scorpion. Whoops.
Yeah, for the DTC, we are using 3 types of terrain. So we're using almost every Towse terrain. So we have 3 different terrain sets. One is obviously the WTC terrain, where we only use table 8, top of my head. And then we have the UKTC terrain from Zach, and then the DTT terrain. So every other table, I believe table 1 is DTT, then it's UKTC, then it's WTC, and then reset. So per rows of 3, you will have the same terrain. But just to give everybody equal opportunity to play in all the terrain, have fun, and we want to build the community more and more and more. And what better way is to let people show on the finals what terrain there is, so people can actually make their pick, or they say like, oh, I really like this, or I really don't like this, so I need to go to these events, or I don't mind, so I can go to every event. Or the fact that they can prepare for every event, because there are literally lists that really work well on the UKTC, and there are lists that really don't work on the DTT.
Yeah.
Is this a pretty common? Is this a pretty common thing for your events to use like all 3 different terrain types, or generally focus on one per event, and then this one's just like a smorgasbord of stuff?
Yeah, this
depends how big it is.
Yeah, but this is the amalgamation of amalgamation. My English is not that good. It's from the 3 terrain sets. I normally only use WTC. I believe Amsterdam Battle Brothers only uses UKTC, and then we have Kyle and AO that only use DTT.
And so some of that'll depend on like what the TO has and what the TO prefers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you, just out of curiosity, have you had like do you get much feedback? Do you know if players tend to prefer any given system more than others? Like, are people happy with the like variety events, or?
The feedback I've gotten so far from my events, there's only one person that does not like the WTC tables because it's table 1 to 8 and then switched around. And that's CJ, because then he cannot prepare perfectly instead of his own terrain layout. So I don't care.
Yeah. So most tournaments, no, actually all TOs, they send out surveys after their events asking for feedback. And I think they respond really well. I think Dean, he had some severe penalty for people not handing in their list sometime. He got some blowback of some criticism about that, and he made a good argument why he didn't want to fix it, but at the end he decided that it probably was better to do it. So he announced he made a pretty well reasoned post about that he was changing it, and I felt that was really mature of him.
Yeah, they're like, I'm changing it, but here's the reasons I'm not happy.
Yes.
No, yeah, well, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Got to justify it, Lewis, right?
Yeah.
So I understand also in the Netherlands, you guys generally focus on like 1 to 2 armies, maybe 2 to 3 armies. Is there like a big reason for that? Is that because of WTC, you guys like to silo in on armies and collect, I guess, big, deep collections rather than, I guess, a lot of armies with little collections? I don't. Maybe
What's
you
your
can explain
stereotype about Dutch people?
Yep. Okay, go, Dick. Tell us about the Dutch.
No, I ask you, what's a stereotype about Dutch people? Tall, yeah. What else?
Well, I'm
drugs.
Yeah. I've got tall, and then like the Eddie Izzard skit of like the Dutch speak 4 languages and smoke marijuana. That's about what I'm going off. It's not great here.
Okay,
Sorry.
Not that bad. So.
Well, Dutch people are also pretty well known about being a bit of a bit stingy, a bit miserly. They don't really like to spend a lot of money if they can help it. So I think most people, as in the average player, they play what they like. They play that, and they also try to paint it well. The painting standard for Dutch events is really high. Like actually, we were shocked when we went to overseas to see what people play with, and then now as I've gotten more competitively, my painting standards have also slipped. But my Necrons are pretty well painted, pretty cool, and I think most people have like their main army, and it's really well hobbied out. I mean, Ruud's Dark Elder army is really cool. Too bad he's speed painting some shitty Guardsman right now, but yeah,
it still looks amazing. Thank you very much. I mean, for English standards, it still looks amazing.
Yes, that's one of our sayings. Okay, for English standards, it looks good, so it doesn't really matter.
Like, it looks amazing unless you're standing across the table from it. Then it looks disgusting. But that's maybe more to do with the book than the paint.
The actual painting.
For sure.
One of the reasons why we're also heavy into painting is because back in the days when we still had only a couple tournaments, there was always a tournament organization that gave you, I think, a complete win if you had the painting score. So if you had a 20-0 system, because back in the days everybody in Europe used 20-0 systems, I believe, you could get literally 20 points for having an amazingly painted army.
And amazingly, as in well-painted army, following a rubric, like, you know, it looked good, but everybody could do it.
Yeah.
Well, you're already talking about AO, but I'm talking 5th edition stuff when AO wasn't there, and then AO took that system from them partially, and then indeed it's like, cool, we want to host events which are the terrain is good, the mats are amazing, but the armies also have to look really nice, and then really nice by a painting rubric, so you could get 50 points, I believe, and then if you have 30 out of the 50 points, you get a full score added to your score. which was also beneficial for us because when the English came, their painting scores were half the time not optimal, so they wouldn't have 6 wins in a 5-round event.
Or they hadn't read the rules back and didn't see the rubric.
Yes, that was also very funny. I think
Well,
Mike
people
is noted for that one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mikey didn't read the rules back from
Mikey Herbert.
Yeah. And he should have been second if he would have had unit markings painted or just with a ring around his models, and he didn't read the rules back, so then he didn't get painting points, and then he was 16th instead of second.
Ouch! Out of how many people at this event? Sorry,
that was 120.
200.
Okay.
So that was hilarious. Every time you see Mikey or something, you just start talking about unit markings, and he will go bonkers.
Sounds good. We have a
That's it.
Yeah, we have a local. It's a very niche local joke because at some point there was a rubric in the past, and infamously, like a local guy who like is literally a full-time commission painter got like he didn't get full points or like got some middling points because he took some Lehman Russ, and there's a basic requirement. And
what?
The rubric had something about requiring all models to be based, and he took Lehman Russ, and because of that, somehow it didn't get the points. I think this is a bit before my time. All I know is like better base those tanks is a very niche local meme.
Oh wow!
Which is another good one of like I think, can get a bit of a wind up.
Best one painting wise that I have is when the old TO was there in the Netherlands. There was one guy who was always spot on with his painting, and then at a certain point the TO came over and he was looking at the model, and it was beautifully painted. He was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" Turns around the model, looks at the bottom, and it's not painted, and he goes like, "Oh, you don't get painting points because it's not painted." Put the model back, and he walked off. So he gets 0 painting points because his model wasn't painted at the bottom of a tank. Mental.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a really high painting standard in the Netherlands.
That's rude.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it's adjusting for like to normal world levels at the moment. You still see a lot of people have their really cool models, and it's amazing. But we're also trying harder and well, getting our last minute painting done now.
Yeah. But there's always a lot of people that full on go for best painted. There's always, I think, a minimum of 5 people that are going to the event purely for best painted.
Yes.
And then obviously they always win it. So that's kudos to them because you still have to do it, right?
Yeah. That's cool. It can be it can be a bit rude where it's like if you've got some like a few people in the local scene that are like known to be really good, and it's like, oh boy, who's gonna come along? Like at our events, there's sort of like a couple of local guys that are always in the running, and then the crowd that comes up from Dunedin are usually like they're like really well painted. And so it's like, oh boy, who's gonna get it this time? Of like among the small handful, and then the odd tournament where it's like, oh, none of the usual like painting crowd are here. It's up for grabs. Anyone could take this one.
Yeah, but also when you see the paint judge walking around at that time, it's like choosing between like the best of the worst. You can see that really well.
Yeah, at our events, it's often player voted, so like it's sort of popular votes. That's I think it's generally pretty fair, but sometimes it's like flashy armies, like shiny, like whatever it is thing, like catches people's eyes and works well. But
knights win a lot of times.
Or people who bring dioramas to their entire army, that works really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a couple of people that really know how to please the public, sort of say. So if you can do some really flashy, shiny highlights with an airbrush, for example, that always goes well. There's a lot of people that like to kit bash. I know one of the Amsterdam guys has a completely self-made vehicle list from Ultramarine, so he buys all the GW stuff, but then he starts cutting and adds plastic art. So he made his own Primaris, Ultramarine land speeders, or he kit bashed his own Samuel.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Paints so tightly that he puts a little marker or a little board with it. This is all freehands. There's no stencils because he lost the paint competition once because everybody thought he was using stencils. It's so straight that he was painting so tight. So since then, every time he has hand painted note, everything's free-handed, no stencils used. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's so cool. You guys are gonna need to provide us with some pictures or something to share somewhere. I have decided just now.
I'll send you a link. It's not a biggie.
Yeah. Because then hopefully we can put that somewhere, like in show notes or something, and do one of the things, right, Sam?
Absolutely, and I'm sure, obviously, this weekend, I'm sure you might be able to see some of the beautiful armies on stream at Amsterdam Wargaming.
Hope so. Yeah.
I will also, if you guys like, I can add the stream link for the YouTube channel they will be using.
Yeah, perfect. That'll be fantastic.
Wargaming.
Beautiful.
So, it's going to be a lot of fun this weekend.
I'm looking forward to
Says the guy painting guard.
Oh, man, I played 5 Lehman Russes yesterday. It was so glorious. We have 3. I'm so bummed out already.
I was so happy when I saw your list.
My list was also partially, I don't have the models. I'm too busy this week to hassle anything. Played the list yesterday. And we also have to double on the list for ITT, for example, for the team tournament in February in England. And I have so much guard or so much weird stuff that I actually have 2 times the army. And then last night I fixed 4 Lehman Russes between 12 midnight and 1 o'clock in the midnight. It was like, so I actually could have hassled them and I could have played this list, but whatever.
Yeah.
This is
well. Next time.
Tiny violin.
Oh, perfect. Is there generally like a skew in the Netherlands in terms of like what armies are collected? Like, is there like a big skew towards Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights, or is there like a Necron flooding of armies around the Netherlands, or everyone has their own sort of interests and takes?
Dick, you want to call out or?
Well, it's. I wouldn't say that that most of them have that there's like interesting new builds coming out of it, our list design, but there are a lot of armies or factions which are used more than others. Like, I think at this moment we don't really have a competitive normal Eldar player, like an Asuryani player, for some reason. I don't really know why. I mean, Harleys are better. That's one of the reasons, but also it's just not really being played at the moment.
I mean, elves are also just like the worst, so I'm on board with this.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
If you mean by one of those guys, you mean like someone that will just like make any like easy joke about any faction, including my own? Yes, one of those guys. Dude, I played Custodians the other day. I was so good. Trajan made 6 out of 6 4-up invulns against the Keeper of Secrets.
Yeah.
Such a good player.
Skill.
Exactly. I'm such a good Custodians player, dude.
Yeah.
I'll make fun of anything.
Better, because my Kazar can just ignore your feel no pain and all that jazz, so it's fine. 6 mortal wounds, boom. Skill.
But I think what you can say generally is that people do prefer smaller armies with less models. Like when Custodians were good, I think half of the field played Custodians, and then when Knights came out, well, half of the guys were playing Knights. It's just, I mean, I think that's everywhere in the world, but I feel like we do it a bit more than others. There's also, I feel like there's a real die-hard following for Grey Knights and Death Guard. We have a competition who is the best Grey Knight player in the Netherlands, and I think at this moment Dean is winning.
You know what the biggest joke of the Grey Knight running show is? The 5 best Grey Knight players coming to the DTC all don't play Grey Knights.
No.
Everybody dropped them. Everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think Space Marines are quite popular all the time, which is quite interesting because obviously they're not really good. Well, they are getting better now with the new Arts of Omen. But even now, there's a lot of Space Marine players or any Adeptus Astartes faction at the DTC as well, because I think I'm playing Space Wolves round 1.
Yeah, I'm playing Death Guard.
Yeah, and Death Guard, which is also, I think, one of the reasons why it's still Death Guard is because it came in a couple of starter sets. And what Hugo said as well, we have a very, very, very local Stompa meta around Amsterdam, which is also funny because the guy that always wants to play Stompas is bringing nits this to the DTC.
Yes.
Well,
So
maybe
it's
they should make
a bit of an anticlimax Dutch Masters, funny enough. So all the guys that normally play something, because I always play Harlequins for the last 2 years, and I'm bringing guard. How weird.
Well, maybe I should make the stomp of 500 points and all will be solved. So,
Yeah.
no, shout out to Optimal sort of gamer. 500 point stomp of meta. Perfect. So, when you talked about the New Year pairings at events, do you guys, is that pretty traditional for your Dutch tournaments? Like you have your first round opponent very far in events, or is it because of seedings for this event that you who it is?
No, we always know our pairings. I think at least a week ahead.
Yeah.
That is mostly, I think, because back in the days that was the standard, and nowadays it's also just a lot of banter. So the standard rules that we normally add is you have to fix your list in a week before the event. Say, example, we had to send our list before Monday, then you have a couple of days to check the lists.
Yeah, so you get assigned a list to check.
Yeah, we were very few countries that actually has to check their opponent's list before you start the tournament, and I think that's one of the reasons as well why they are public. And from there on out, when every list is checked or adjusted and penalties have been resolved, we get a pairing, and then the banter can start. So if I would know I'm playing Dick round 1, I will be just chatting or WhatsApping him in our local group and go like, you're mine, or it's the other way around. Hey, I see that you're playing this army that can beat Necrons. Have fun Saturday.
That's really good. I assume that means you guys don't have much in the way of drops for events as well. Because that's like the classic like US UK reason to not post pairings early is like
just too lazy to do it.
To drop or
to post a pairing.
Oh, they are. Yeah,
we get dropped just the same as everybody else. It's around 10% usually. Although I expect for this weekend to be less because of it being the finals.
Yeah.
It's also the real drops that we have are people that are calling in sick or have some life issues.
Yeah.
For example, my kids got sick, or I'm sick, or I cannot make it because of X. We don't really have dropouts because they are facing an army they can't beat or anything. And I also believe that's one of the reasons why that is because we're cheapskates. So I have paid $50 to play this event. I will use those $50 to play this event.
Yes.
That cheapskate reasoning might be as well why like low model count armies like Knights and Custodes are popular. I know that's the reason I've got those armies.
100%.
That's one of the reasons why I have that army as well, but it's not the actual reason because I used to work at GW and a Custodes army costed me $100 and then I had a 2,000 point army. So...
$100 gives me one box Custodes, dude. That makes me sad.
Yeah. Now I don't work there anymore, so now I have to pay the big bucks. So that's why I'm getting all my stuff now from TTK or Tabletop Kingdom.
Yes, I understand Tabletop Kingdom is like a major sponsor of the event, or is it a major sponsor of the circuit. So tell us about Tabletop Kingdom. Like, is it just like a retail merchandiser, or what do they do?
Yeah, it's a local gaming store, but they actually have, I believe they have 3 now.
Yeah.
They just opened one in Haarlem, where is a big Warhammer community as well. It's a city left of Amsterdam. But those guys do board games, but they also have a lot of Warhammer, but they also have all kinds of other games. So obviously it's Magic, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! They host small events, but they also sponsor all of the Dutch tournament circuit. So I think there's going to be some
and
really
the WTC team,
and the WTC team, and the actual ageofsigmar team. It's not the best club, best Dutch city, Rob. It's not Haarlem. No, go away.
Rob.
In the comments.
So it sounds like these guys are the best cardboard and plastic crack dealers of the country.
Yeah,
for sure.
And, they also have quite some space to do or to actually play games. So we also did some training days there, and Ollie, the owners, he's a super nice guy. And one of the benefits in The Hague for me is there's a cocktail bar literally next to the door. So if you finish your game at 10, you could actually go for cocktails. That's
there's nothing wrong with a pina colada straight after a Warhammer tournament, right, Ronnie?
There you go. No, and for the rest, they will offer some major prize support for the DTC as well. I think the biggest champion will get a very big box of plastic models. I think one of the rare stuff that's not available anymore. But they also sponsor us as well. So for the WTC team, we get a discount. We can use their rooms, etc. And TTK also has awesome introduction beginner tournaments. And they have a standard discount if you want to be one of those Dutch persons that wants to spend less money and more models.
Be the stereotypical stingy Dutch person. So there you go. And I assume they does ship really in the areas of Europe. So if there's anyone in Europe that's available to purchase from there, definitely shout out to DTK and purchase from them. So yeah, happy days. Cool. So you talked about that, Ruud. You worked for Games Workshop. Was there any funny stories or interesting things that happened while you're working at Games Workshop?
Yes and no. I mean,
company secrets, boys. Company secrets.
How many little Timmies did you ruin their financial futures of by like, hey, buddy, do you want to come play Warhammer?
Hello, mother. Do you have any problems with your kid being fascinated by some weird miniature toll game? I used to work in the Amsterdam one.
First, it's free.
There's 2 in Amsterdam, not 3, Dick. Come on. But yeah, I ruined some Timmy's life for obvious reasons. But I was also fortunate enough to have a lot of people come to the store and they go like, "Hey, Ruud, I want to start a new army. Which army should I buy?" And I was like, "Well, this one. Give me money." And it was way too much money spent in the day, and I had to laugh. Some cheeky stuff. I think with GW, what's always going to happen is the moment you work there, and you're smart enough to tell the manager you want to clear the back of house because there's a lot of old models. And you have to throw them away, and then you have to throw it in the bin, and you can put the back with all the miniatures in your car, so they're all free. That kind of stuff. That's amazing.
Nice.
But that officially never happened because we don't throw away models at GW, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think you blanked out for a bit there. I didn't miss that.
No, I mean it's always fun to work at GW, and there's a lot of standard group of people that you're facing.
Yeah.
There's always the extremes, and there's always people you have to count to 10, but that's the same as at tournament events, right? Or tournaments. You always have the one guy you're thinking, I don't want to face this guy, and then it's like, oh, look who's round 1.
Yeah.
I mean, had a good time, enjoyed my discount, enjoyed my free models. Life was good.
Fair enough, dude.
Then you decided to get paid, but then that's a different story.
Yeah,
so
well, the best part was during COVID when we had to make appointments to come into the shop. And then if
yeah.
nobody could, and you had to make appointments, I think 4 hours previous before your appointment. So when you're open from 12 to 6, and there was nobody calling you before 2, you had 4 hours of painting your own models, getting paid for it as well.
Powerful.
That was solid.
Great time, great time.
Yeah.
I understand also. So Dino, you called out previously as saying someone who would never play TTS, and then you suckered him in and got him to play Tabletop Simulator. Is that a pretty common thing in the Netherlands to play TTS? I don't know. I don't know, Dick, if you play TTS, or is it like a common thing for the WTC prospects to play?
Yeah, Dick, tell.
Like, I think everybody agrees that it's probably it is beneficial to play on TTS 100%. But I just don't have the time to do it, guys. I really want to do it, but with work and life stuff, I just don't want to spend 5 hours behind a computer screen at home. I mean, I would prefer to drive somewhere for an hour and then play for 3 hours and then go home again if I have 5 hours to kill, but I don't have 5 hours to kill. So yeah.
Sounds like you need to just take
get my priorities straight.
I was gonna say take something that tables people faster, dude, and then get that time down. But
I think Dick and me are the worst two people to ask for TTS because we're both.
Ruud doesn't understand technology, and I don't want to play.
I was
That's
waiting.
That's like a bold statement from the guy who's had worse internet connection, and Ruud's been flawlessly getting things working. It was like in here, ready. This guy was onto it today.
To be fair, I have a brother-in-law who's really good with technology, so we connected up my new house Wi-Fi very, very proper. When I told him last time it sucked, and he felt offended, so now he gave me some super Wi-Fi connection. So it's like, yeah, cool.
Cool. He can come by my place.
I'll send him over. He's a freelancer. He don't mind. No, but TTS in the Netherlands is growing. We have quite some people fixed into the WTC team because of their TTS skills.
Yeah. There is a Dutch
we do have a national TTS team as well. And I think the biggest joke of all TTS is Dino himself, because Dino was the biggest person next to me and Dick hating TTS. And now he's texting everybody every day, hey, you want to play TTS? So it does help, but I don't have the proper equipment to actually play TTS, because the laptop I'm chatting with you guys now from is my work laptop, and I tried TTS on it and it just kept lagging. And then that pisses me off, because in the amount of time that I can actually fix this, I can literally drive to Dick's place, play a game, come back, and it still saves me at least an hour.
Yeah,
and you'll be, of course, too frugal to be like, I could go get a computer of my own, but like, no, we got to fit the stereotypes.
I used to buy Warhammer. I don't need a computer except for TTS, because I already have my work computer.
Yeah.
So and I need more Warhammer, because one of my life goals is obviously collect everything 3 times. So if anything happens, I'll just walk to my closet, grab it out of the closet, and I go like, yep, I can play this. This is amazing.
Too good. So you mentioned also earlier on, you talked about travel. So I understand Hammersfort's generally a central hub for you guys. It's like an hour and a half away, but sometimes you have troubles with people trying to travel to events and areas, because just Dutch people just don't want to travel when it's 2 hours away. Oof, it's a bit too far and stuff like that. And it sounds like a very Luxembourg issue. I know Ishik talked about when they were talking about Luxembourg. It's oof, 30 minutes away. Oh, that's so far away.
That blew my mind. No, I have to drive 15 minutes. I mean, that hurt me right in the proper heart. I mean, Jesus, 15 minutes. It's also quite biased, because I used to drive a lot for work, because I'm an account manager. So I have to drive from my hometown to Amsterdam, which is 1.5 hours. I went to Amsterdam today, to be exact, and I'm going there tomorrow again. So the 1.5 hour drive for me is not a big thing. and because I think 80% of all the Warhammer players is in the middle and below of the Netherlands in the east, everything's 1.5 hour driving from each other. So Amersfoort is nicely centrally located, but if you're going from Amsterdam to Rotterdam, I think you can do it in an hour. I'm not sure, Dick, but
Less.
So if you really want to play Warhammer with somebody and you don't like TTS, you just have to drive, and that's all. Or take a train, but I definitely prefer driving because public transport is very expensive and it's not good.
Yeah.
Unlike Luxembourg, because it's free and it's actually decent. Or Australia, for example. Big cities are really nicely arranged with public transport.
Well, I'm glad you think though. City, city trains are all right, but city buses and stuff, oof, rough. But anyways, I'll leave you a positive.
They drive 24 hours a day. Ours
Sure, that's
stop
fair.
at 1.
Sure, that's more than fair. So unfortunately, it's getting late now. So, any final shout outs before we guys sign things off? So, obviously, you talked about SM Wargaming streaming this weekend, and if you, I guess, guys are interested in the Eurotrash Cup, reach out to Ruud. But any final shout outs or comments?
Dick?
Well, Ruud is organizing loads of tournaments this entire year, and you can actually buy like an entire year's supply of tickets and get a nice discount. Stereotype, yeah. So please do that. As we said before, it's perfectly valid for you to come from abroad to earn those famous internet points and become the Dutch master for next year. So why not go ahead and do that? Otherwise, there's still loads of other tournaments. Dean does tournaments. Amsterdam Battle Brothers. Look those guys up if you're ever in Amsterdam. And the Alliance Open do some really cool big tournaments. Who do I miss? Kyle.
Tabletop tournaments.
Tabletop tournaments. He does, I think,
Rotterdam.
1 or 2 tournaments every month. And they're more accessible if you, for example, live in Belgium, because they're more in the south of the Netherlands. So look those guys up if you ever want to do any competitive wargaming in the Netherlands. And if you want to talk Necrons, you can always hit me up.
Yeah,
absolutely. Ruud?
I can give a small shout out to our lovely Dino, because I wouldn't be sitting here without him, or with him, or without him. I don't know. No, for the rest, if you're wanting to know anything about WTC, contact me. The Feast of Late tournaments are indeed, I do a value pack now. So you can buy either a couple of tickets for 2 GTs and 2 RTTs. You can do the full package. You can do a full package, including dinner afterwards. All available. And Eurotrash Cup, at the moment, it's sold out. So if you want to get on the waiting list, all good. And I think that's it. So I hope the Dutch people just looking at their stream will be there this weekend, or otherwise looking at Amsterdam Wargaming on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description somewhere, or I'll send it to you, because apparently I don't know how internet works. And thank you all for getting us here all the way.
And I guess a quick shout out to like the quite active Dutch chat. Seems like you guys are a good community, and based off your mentions of the shit talking once lists are posted or pairings are posted, it seems like
it's a fun community.
Yeah. Good
to
poke fun at anyone and everyone. It's the best way for things to be.
Yeah, we want to play Warhammer in a relaxed way, but still taking a piss at each other and having fun. If you can't have fun or talk shit against each other, it's probably the wrong game for you in the Netherlands.
Yeah. And I think many parts of the world, I think Australia shares that same sentiment, so don't you worry. So appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for spending your time today, and best of luck for this weekend. I hope it all goes well.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
I hope